We're in Aljabain village. We're one village away from the border with Palestine. Yareen village is down there. We have managed to get through. There was helicopters and drones. And this is the first time we enter the village. I don't know if there's been any other journalists that entered it yet, foreign journalists specifically, but the destruction is massive. Looking at many houses, as we saw here, are destroyed. There's lots of Zionist Hebrew graffiti. And right there, you can see a tank shell hitting the water tower just to make sure that the village doesn't have water if people come back. That's a basic Zionist tenet, trying to cut water and food off human beings. Hey everybody, this is Laith Marouf from Free Palestine TV. Before we continue with this report, I ask you to press the subscribe button on whatever social media you're watching this on, and to go to our website, freepalestine.video, to donate so we can continue bringing you these reports from the field. We are in Majdal Zoun village in the Naqoura area. We're in the highest hill neighborhood in this village. Majdel Zun is overlooking Sur, the tourist beach city in the south of Lebanon. And as you can see from here, this whole part of the village has been destroyed or damaged. We are standing at the martyrs' graveyard that was totally destroyed during the war, and the locals have decided to rebuild the graveyard and create the stones for all the martyrs. Much of these martyrs are from this battle in 2023 and 2024, but we have martyrs from various wars, including the battle for Syria in 2015, 2016, and some from the occupation period in that section. All around, including the community center here, are destroyed, and the locals are already beginning reconstruction. A thing to note about Majdal Zoun and the battle that happened here, as we can notice from the house right across here, this was directly hit by a tank shell. This city, this village, was crucial in the battle of the 66 days. The Zionist columns of Merkava tanks were attempting to enter South Lebanon from multiple sides around this village, and Majdal Zoun was a zone where the resistance fired on these invading columns and destroyed at least 8 Merkavas in the area in the attempted invasion. So after the ceasefire, the Israelis conducted a vengeance campaign against this village and destroyed much of it, as we see, although the fighting was over, because of the importance of Majdal Zoun in the defense of South Lebanon during those 66 days. "200 homes were totally demolished, and 600 others were partially damaged. This means practically every house in this village was destroyed or damaged. The residents, as we can see, and we showed you before, are rebuilding. The reason that Majdal Zoun received so much hate and destruction by the Zionists, specifically after the ceasefire came into effect, is because this village stopped the advance of the Israeli columns towards Sur, the city on the sea shore. And without the resistance being positioned here in Majdal Zoun, being able to hit the advancing Israeli columns from Tyre Harfa right there, then the Israelis would have made it all the way to Sur without any obstacle in their path. As you can see behind me is the Shama hill, and Shama is where the mausoleum of Apostle Peter Simon that we showed you in a few reports ago was destroyed. But from this position, the resistance were firing on the advancing columns, and the Israelis were unable to cross this ridge between these two hills because of the resistance being positioned here and refusing to leave in the confrontation. And you could see right there the United Nations UNIFIL base that's right under Shama, and they just stood watching there, didn't stand in the way of the Zionists, didn't deliver on their mandate as a UN force. One thing that we should note here is that a few days ago, there was a United Nations UNIFIL force trying to go into the village of Jebbayn, right there also on the front line behind these hills. And because the UNIFIL was abusing their power, they were not following protocol. They have to arrive when they want to enter a village with Lebanese army forces. This is what the mandate allows them. The locals, of course, responded by cutting the path of the UNIFIL troops.
ولا أذن ولا الجيش اللبناني بلا الجيش اللبناني فايتين يا أخي يلا الله معكم هيدي أرضي هاي أرضي ملكي يا أخي يلا
احنا اسفين احنا رايحين
لا اسفين مش اسفين يلا اتكلوا على الله هيدي حتنزل على الإعلام لأنه ممنوع تفوتوا على أرض بدون إذن الجيش اللبناني أنتوا عم تشتغلوا مع إسرائيل يلا
احنا ما نشتغل مع
بلا مع إسرائيل عم تشتغلوا.
What did the UNIFIL troops do? They opened fire on the civilians that are unarmed. They fired rubber-coated bullets and tear gas. And these are all actions that are unallowed. They are forbidden for the UNIFIL to fire on the Lebanese civilians. And we saw how the UNIFIL does not fire on the Israelis, no matter what they do when they violate the ceasefire and or when they are targeting civilians in Lebanon and or journalists, as we saw a few days ago. Last week, Western journalist Courtney Bonu was standing with the UNIFIL troops when she was targeted by an Israeli sniper, and again the UNIFIL did nothing to protect her and or to protest the crimes of the Zionists. We drove from Majdal Zoun through the Zabqin Valley, and as we came out of the valley, we noticed this local hospital totally destroyed, clearly targeted by direct shelling, as we see heavy machine gun and tank shelling right into the hospital, destroyed completely. And as we can see from here, the Zabqin Valley and the shots from us driving through it, there was a lot of direct bombardment hits into the valley. It's a natural reserve, beautiful area. But you could tell the Zionists trying to go from this direction, from Tyre Harfa towards Majdal Zoun, they were ambushed on the path, and the resistance was able to get them in a direct line of fire from the village up there and stop their advancement towards the coast and the city of Sur.
Yes.
We're in Aljabain village. We're one village away from the border with Palestine. Yareen village is down there. We have managed to get through. There was helicopters and drones. And this is the first time we enter the village. I don't know if there's been any other journalists that entered it yet, foreign journalists specifically, but the destruction is massive. Looking at many houses, as we saw here, are destroyed. There's lots of Zionist Hebrew graffiti. And right there, you can see a tank shell hitting the water tower just to make sure that the village doesn't have water if people come back. That's a basic Zionist tenet, trying to cut water and food off human beings. Hadi, we passed through Zabqin Valley between Tir Harfa and Majdal Zoun that we just visited.
And other villages, yes.
And we saw a lot of craters from attacks by air from the Zionists. Explain a little bit about the battle that happened there and why that valley was very important to the defense of Lebanon.
Well, since the beginning of Tufan al-Aqsa war here in Lebanon, the support front for Tufan al-Aqsa from the Lebanese side, the Israelis started targeting Zabqin Valley since I think the first weeks after October 7th, because even before the war, without having anything happening, the Israelis used to publish in their writings, in their especially the military correspondents who are interested in what's happening in Lebanon. They used to publish about the importance of the Zabqin Valley as a geographic line that makes it very hard for the Israelis to cross from the direct border areas and directly in contact with the blue line to the inner land inside South Lebanon. Of course, by this you will expect that the resistance will have a very important defense line in this valley, and this is what the Israelis used to publish in their writings. They used to claim that the Zabqin Valley is very important for the resistance both ways in the defense, by making it a defense line that is that the Israelis do not dare to cross. They used to call it they use this Hezbollah Natural Reserve, which means that it's a place where you have lots of facilities for the resistance and lots of defense lines for the resistance. Also, the resistance was using as we saw during the support front and after this, the Zabqin Valley to launch strikes and attacks, missile strikes against Israel in support for Gaza and in retaliation or revenge after targeting civilians and targeting people in South Lebanon. So the Israelis, of course, targeted this valley extensively. You could see the craters after the massive airstrikes, and I think we're going to include in the footage some of the recorded and filmed airstrikes against this valley. One of the most important strikes happened in the first 2 or 3 months. There have been some extensive fire against the valley, artillery strikes and airstrikes. But after, if you remember, the operation of we call it the 40 day, or it happened in retaliation for the attack against Commander Fuad Shukr in Dahiya. The Israelis struck this valley. They carpet bombed this valley. They were expecting that the resistance will launch a massive airstrike against Israel from this valley. So they targeted it and they did a massive carpet bombing for the valley. Many of the craters you saw were from that strike in specific. But what's important, and I'm going to finish by this, that even after the ceasefire, and during the war, the Israelis did not dare to enter this valley. They tried to pass it by circling around it, and they tried to reach Shama, and they never crossed it. During the ceasefire, despite the fact that right now the area where we're stopping, I think you saw some of the traces of the Merkava tanks. They were trying to reach here to cut the road between Saida, between Sur, between this place. So you have Sur and the Naqura area, but they never entered this valley because they were expecting that the resistance is still there and still have important presence there, and especially that they say that lots of facilities are in this valley, and they were afraid of the resistance doing something even during the ceasefire phase. So until now, we know that the Israelis are trying to demilitarize the resistance, but they still claim that important presence for the resistance is still in South Lebanon despite everything, and they know that even if they try to search for weapons and use the old information they know about the locations for the resistance to send UNIFIL as we talked for some places like Jebbayn and other places, the resistance will keep creating new ways to resist from south of Litani, and to make sure that south of Litani is not if the Israelis were thinking with the Lebanese government and other sides that they will demilitarize the south of Litani, the resistance will have new ways to defend it and to make it unable to the Israelis to occupy in some hours like they think they will do after demilitarizing the area. We'll talk about this later maybe.
This was Laith Marouf and Hadi Hotait from the south of Lebanon. We made it to Aljabain, although there was a lot of drone activities and the people were worried about us, but we made it safely. We are heading back right now to our base in Beirut. I ask you to one more time to press the subscribe button on whatever social media platform you're watching this on, and to go to our website freepalestine.video to donate so we can continue bringing you these reports from the field. Until we meet you next time, we bid you all a free Palestine.